begin by, I guess, acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet here today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to extend a big thank you to Engineers Australia. So without those guys, I mean, today couldn't be possible. Kind folks at Engineers Australia, they're committed to helping advance the engineering profession, making sure today's engineering students go on to begin careers with impact in the future. You can actually become an Engineers Australia member for free as a student by simply heading over to yea.engineersaustralia.org.au. So it's something that you can do kind of post after the virtual event. So what we're going to do today, guys, we've got a couple of questions that I'll talk through. So I'm Elliot. I work for Prospel. So we brand, we work with a lot of the employers, or majority of the employers that are going to be at the fair today. We help them brand to be more visible to students like yourself. And obviously we're also hosting these virtual events as well. So we'll kick it off with yourself, Stephen. So please introduce yourself and describe what GHD does.
Sure. So hi, everyone. Thanks for coming on and listening to us all for the next 30 minutes. So as Elliot said, my name's Steve. I'm the grad recruitment lead for GHD. I've been working, I guess, in grad recruitment within the consulting industry now for about 11 years. So hopefully some of the questions that you've got, myself and the rest of the panel should be able to answer. Look, a little bit about GHD. So we're an engineering and technical services business, about 10,000 odd people spread throughout Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Europe, and then the Americas, so South America and North America as well. Really came out of the founding of a passion for the water sector and water-based infrastructure, but now is significantly more broad than that. I know we've got our booth open for the Super Fair a little bit later on, so if you want to find a little bit more, pop on down and have a chat to the team.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Stephen. A definite veteran in the recruitment grad space. And how about yourself, Alex? So talk through obviously what your role is at AECOM and I guess what AECOM do more broadly.
Hey everyone, and thanks, Elliot. So as Elliot said, my name's Alex, and I've been working at AECOM since the start of 2020. I am currently a second-year graduate civil engineer within our general civil team at the Brisbane office here in Australia. As far as what AECOM do, I guess a bit more broadly, so we're a global infrastructure consulting firm, and we get the opportunity to work in numerous sectors with numerous different clients. Some of the clients you'd be more familiar with around Australia would be, say, here up in Queensland, TMR, and if you're in Victoria, say something like Vic Roads. And so that's more for the transport side of things. We also do a lot of work in resources, defense, and in general, a lot of different urban and rural infrastructure projects.
Brilliant, thank you. And we'll jump to, we'll go to Carrie. So Carrie's over at Worley. If you give us a quick intro on yourself, Carrie, and I guess what Worley are doing.
Hi, okay, no problems. Hey everyone, my name's Carrie Walker. I'm a people manager at Worley, and I'm also the graduate coordinator for Australia. So I've been involved in kind of graduate recruitment, graduate coordination for about 5 years of my career, and I actually really enjoy working within the grad space. I think it's really exciting, and I love to see kind of and meet kind of graduates as they're kind of transitioning out of university and looking for opportunities in the workforce. So what does Worley do? We're also an engineering consultant. So unlike our contractors, I guess our clients who kind of, might mine gold or copper or whatever, we sell knowledge. So that's kind of our core business and how I like to, I guess, describe it. We work across a range of different sectors. So oil and gas, mining and minerals, power, upstream and midstream, new energy and infrastructure. We are a global company. We're Australian owned with approximately 50,000 employees across the world. So yeah, a little bit about Worley and a little bit about me.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Carrie. And Kira, so over at WSP, can you bit of a quick intro on yourself and what WSP are doing in this engineering consulting space?
Hi everyone, my name's Kira. I've recently joined the grad program 2 months ago, so I'm quite new to the company. But so WSP is also a global brand. And it provides engineering consultancy and design services in a really wide range of fields. So there's transport, which includes rail and roads, major projects, as well as structures, environmental assessments, power, resources. Yeah, it's good.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Kira. And absolutely well done 2 months in and getting out of your comfort zone and being a panelist on a virtual fair. It's really impressive to see. Well done. Thanks for all your intros. So we'll just talk about, I guess, with yourself, Carrie, what is your organisation, I guess, looking for in an application and what the students need to show kind of consistently to progress through or into the next rounds of your recruitment process?
Yeah, sure. I guess describe what we're looking for is probably like well-rounded graduates. So I think actually your search for like a graduate job starts before the job ad goes up. For those people that are really proactive, they're coming to kind of the networking events that we sponsor or meeting us like at a virtual career fair or at a face-to-face career fair and doing that kind of networking with people who work for the company. And then when our grad adverts go up, so this year will be the 5th of April, I would be expecting people to have a look at the job ad and number one, definitely following our instruction in the job ad. So if it says submit cover letter, resume, and academic transcript, make sure that you do that. It's really critical. Like attention to detail and ability to follow instruction is kind of like our first little gateway. So you can be a step ahead of others who kind of fail to kind of follow that instruction. So I talked about kind of well-rounded graduates, so people who have a mix of, I guess, academic accomplishment, maybe extracurricular activities that they've been involved in. So like in a student society or a club, maybe you're a volunteer, maybe you've done an exchange or even some kind of like some part-time work that you've maintained during your university study. People who demonstrate that they actually want to work for us, like that their values might align with those of Worley and they've got a genuine interest in working for Worley. So maybe you met us at a career fair virtually or face-to-face, you had a great discussion. I always recommend to people that they customize their cover letter and make it really personal. I would avoid doing that kind of generic copy and paste because there is always the possibility that instead of applying for Worley, you'll put wood on your cover letter. I have seen that before. People who can kind of talk about why they want to work for Worley and have got that genuine interest. They've got like the academic and the kind of extracurricular work, and also they're a really good kind of fit for our business culturally. So people who are, have got a bit of a global mindset, they kind of look for opportunities to improve, challenge, that type of stuff. And I guess that's hard to get that across in an application, and you might kind of address that in an interview. But if you can kind of, talk about that a little bit in your cover letter and kind of, through your application, kind of show us that you are a bit of an all-rounder. This year, I don't think we'll be doing an assessment centre. So really kind of, putting that work into your application. So cover letter, resume, academic transcript is kind of where you'll stand out for the crowd. And hopefully you've done a little bit of networking beforehand and you've kind of met some people and kind of made some inroads there. And that can always kind of assist you when you're applying.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for Carrie. It seems like the consistent theme that you mentioned was network. So get out of your comfort zone, go out to career fairs. Obviously, a lot of things run virtually now, but that's some really good advice from yourself, Carrie. Thank you. Same question to yourself, Stephen. So I guess GHD, what are you guys looking for? What's the main points that you're looking for in an application, and what do students need to show to progress? And I'll probably plug in just because of yourself, I'll probably plug in one of the Q&As that have just come through. Any advice for international students applying kind of for graduate or for internships?
Sure. Let me start with the easy question, which is absolutely pay attention to what Carrie said. I think you're going to find that a lot of organizations are going to look for something very, very similar. Look, personally, for me, I'm a really big fan of a well-constructed and well-written cover letter. I'm still connected with a grad who unfortunately didn't join the previous business I worked for, but we'd spoken for years at expos. Her application was probably one of the biggest standouts I've seen in grad recruiting in 11 years, and we still catch up from time to time. So that personality, that why me that you can inject into your cover letter can actually have quite a significant impact on maybe not necessarily just the first job that you get, but potentially subsequent jobs after that as well. I think the other big thing that we're looking for are students that actually want to work in a consulting practice. I think it is one of the challenges for a lot of students, and either coming in through internships or grad roles, that they don't really understand the kind of work that happens in our sector. And I think one of the ways that I've been trying to describe it to students, and if I didn't have my background on, this would make a little bit more sense because I am a pretty big Lego fan. One of the ways that I've described it is if you think about everything that needs to be done before a Lego kit is in your hands and you're putting it together, that's kind of the work that an engineering consulting practice would do. So we're doing that upfront engagement and that really early concept design on what a kit or a building or a road or a dam could look like. And then we're going through the technical design components. So that instruction manual that you're seeing that actually helps you put your Lego kit together, that's pretty much the work that, to be for all the companies that are on this call, are going to do. And then what we would then do is hand that off to our clients. As Carrie said, that's typically a construction company or an architect or or a government authority, and then they organize to get it physically built. So that's you kind of putting the kit together, just so you've got a bit of an understanding of where you might sit in that overall scheme of things in terms of the typical engineering project. And then just really quickly, advice for international students applying for programs. I think one of the first things you need to do is to understand, does the particular company that you're interested in allow international students to apply either before they've achieved their 485 visa or even when you've got that? Like, some organizations will restrict it to being Australian citizens or a permanent resident or a New Zealand citizen as well if you're applying into Australia. So do that research. Again, go to the career expos, ask some of the recruiters that are on the call. They'll be able to tell you really definitively a yes or a no. And that then just means that you can really focus your applications in on those organizations that will allow you to apply and proceed through the recruitment process.
Brilliant, thanks for that, and good answer to an off-the-cuff question as well. I know you're very passionate about that space, so I thought I'd throw it to you pretty quickly. And I'll go to, I guess, the panelists who are in obviously technical roles, one being quite new, and obviously with Alex kind of a year and a bit in now. So for students who, I guess, get a job, and I'll start with yourself, Alex, students who get a job at AECOM, what advice would you give them to help them, I guess, survive and thrive, and kind of any tips that you would give to really benefit themselves walking into that program? And more importantly, what should they avoid doing?
Yeah, sure. So I would say first and foremost is don't stress out too much. Of course, you learn a lot at uni and you go through things, you'll learn the basic principles, but you're not expected to know everything once you first start in a graduate role. You don't have that expectation to get everything right on the first time. So you use this opportunity when you first start, ask questions, make mistakes. It's fine. I've made mistakes all the time. As long as you kind of learn from them and are able to build on those mistakes, then you'll be okay. Don't worry about getting things right the first time, every time. And so that's the first part. So kind of just take a step back, understand that you're new, understand that it will take time for you to get better in your role as a technical engineer. The next bit of advice I would probably give is use the experience around you. You'll be in teams of people with 20, even 30, 40 years of experience. Use them, ask them questions, ask them how they would go about solving these issues. Of course, people in my team want to see me try to solve an issue on my own, but I also need to use and leverage off that experience that the other people in your team can provide you with. That would probably be my 2 bits of advice. In terms of what not to do, there's, be polite, interact with your team. Probably more on that interacting with your team, just engage. Like, no team wants somebody that will kind of sit in their team, only keep to themselves, not really kind of socialize with their team. When you're in some of these bigger companies, it becomes more than just being technically good at what you do. It becomes being able to integrate in your team, communicate, go to meetings, and really kind of be a part of a team rather than just a mind used to solve an engineering problem. That would probably be my few bits of advice there. Hope that answers that question.
Brilliant. Well done, Alex, mate. It's a really good response for someone who's a year into a pretty demanding grad role. So I think a good one there is don't stress. That's really good advice that I hear pretty often. So thank you very much for that. Same question to yourself, Kira. So I guess the job at WSP, working in the program, obviously quite fresh into it yourself. What advice would you give kind of a student or a successful applicant into your program?
I just think coming in as a grad, you just have to go in with an open mind and just be eager to learn whatever sector it is. You might be put in a team that you're not really familiar with, you don't have much interest in, and just think you have to have a go at everything. Just have an open mind, be keen, be open to a diverse range of projects, because you never know what you're going to like, you never know who you're going to meet. Also, always just put your hand up to new opportunities, make yourself known within the office, be a friendly face at all times, go to meetings, attend. You don't have to be, you aren't expected to know a lot of technical knowledge, but always be wary to ask questions, because people are there to help you, and they don't expect much of you. They just expect you to learn and just to have a good attitude. So that would probably be my number 1 tip. And things to avoid, I just think, again, just don't stress too much. If you're really stressed about something, just ask a question, because everyone around you has been there before, knows a lot, and just there's no point sitting somewhere for a couple hours not doing anything just because you're unsure about it. So just ask. Another good tip, just show initiative, bring new ideas. They hired you for a reason, so they clearly want to know your experiences and just show how you can benefit the company.
Brilliant. Very good advice there. Thank you, Kira. We've got one more question that I'll ask to the 4 panelists, and I've seen there's some Q&As coming through. Sometimes the panelists will answer them directly. We've got a couple that will answer live as well. If your question doesn't get answered, please keep it on hand. Ask obviously employees that you meet today the same questions, and you'll obviously be able to get those responses as well. So we'll start with yourself. We'll go back to yourself, Carrie. In one sentence, why should students apply for Worley? Just to put you on the spot.
Okay, one sentence.
One sentence.
I guess a great supportive working environment with a well-structured graduate program that's going to set you on the right path for a really exciting career with Worley.
Brilliant, thank you. No commas, no full stops. How about yourself, Stephen? What's I guess the main reason students should apply to GHD?
Look, I think one of the main reasons it's a company that's significantly more broad than what you would think when you think an engineering company. So if you have not only a passion for technical development, but if you think your career may take you into management consulting or into digital consulting, cybersecurity, anything like that, like GHD's actually got programs that'll cover a lot of that work for you. So, and I know that it's hard, and as I said at the start, it's hard sometimes to pick where you want your career to start. But I think, a business like ours is broad enough that can give you that career diversity if you want to stay with us long term.
I knew you weren't going to say to a sentence. Thanks, mate. No, really appreciate it. How about yourself, Alex? thought we might have paused there. He has. That's right. I'll go to yourself, Kira.
Yeah, so WSP is very welcoming and inclusive and very diverse company. The graduate program has 6-month rotation, so you can kind of get a taste of which sectors you're interested in, which engineering disciplines you like. And also they really encourage everyone to sit down and talk to your supervisors and discuss your goals and how to achieve them. So I think it's very training driven, and really it encourages you to follow your interests, which is good.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kira. And Alex, you did pause for a little bit there. I think you're back now.
Yeah, I'm back now. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'd say for AECOM, you just get to work on really cool big projects in a wide team. And even though I'm a civil engineer, I get to work with mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, architects. So you get this exposure to all these other disciplines that you might not have at some of the smaller companies. And then also I'd say beyond purely working, I think AECOM has a great social culture. We have events every other week that really allow you to interact with other people in your business and just make it a really great place to work. It's not just about work, which I really like. And that's why I'm here today representing AECOM.
Thanks, mate. So we've got some questions coming through, and what we'll do, some of the panelists have requested to answer it. If there's any panelists who want to tack on an answer to the end, feel free. So Carrie, we'll start with yourself. So I guess in terms of the academic transcript, how would that affect your chances given your average is above 65, or I guess any other answers you've got around that, the level of academic transcript that's coming through?
Yeah, so actually this year we've actually asked our managers what they're looking for each role. So we've actually found that it does vary. So academic transcript isn't the only, well, I guess academic kind of overall academic placement or score isn't like the key driver for some kind of managers who are hiring. So there's some, so like in the process space, we're looking for kind of a higher GPA. However, in other kind of fields, that's not our primary focus. We want, behavioral fit and academic or academic results are kind of like equally weighted. So if we have someone with a fantastic GPA, academic transcript, but can't communicate, can't work in a team, it's not going to work out. So it's a bit of a balance. So if you're kind of, if you're kind of not feeling confident, I would say still put in an application, because like I said, we're looking for well-rounded applicants, and it's not always the case that that GPA is the driver in terms of how we shortlist and what candidates we select to move through to interview.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Carrie. Was any other, I guess, responses around that? It sounds like Carrie covered it off very well. Brilliant. There's probably one question here that's come through the chat. Probably a pretty open question to all of you in regards to what a student can put on their CV to really kind of stand out. Like, is there anything that you've seen in the past that works consistently to kind of bolster their application?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think everyone's CV is going to be, everyone's CV is going to be unique, because you're all doing something very, very different. I think to echo Carrie's point right from the start, and I think you really need to keep what she said in mind. A lot of businesses these days aren't just looking for technical excellence. They look for depth and for breadth in their graduates, and to be fair, in their summer interns as well. So what you really should be thinking about is, in your application, how can you demonstrate that you've got some of that breadth? Now that could be by talking about other work experiences that you've had that aren't necessarily technical. It could be volunteer work, things you've done through a student society. One of the best pieces of advice that I like to give to students in this space when they're looking at their CV is spend less time writing down the skills or the tasks that you did in those opportunities, and think about the skills that each of those work experiences or volunteering experiences gave you. The skill itself is what's transferable. Like, say, for example, you worked at McDonald's to put yourself through university or something like that, or you worked at a bar. GHD aren't going to hire you because you can pull a mean beer, but that might be a really cool way of getting through the door. But in the end, what we're going to hire you for is you're an effective communicator, because you're used to dealing with people in a really loud, noisy environment. So you've picked that skill up. Or you're great at time management because you had to fund yourself through university, so you needed to balance your study with all your part-time work experiences at the same time. So do try where you can to really highlight some of those skills in your application that invariably will set you apart from everybody else that's applying, because those skills are inherently unique to yourself.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Stephen. This question that's come through for yourself, Alex, in regards to AECOM, is there support, I guess, for personal learning into other sectors within the business?
Yeah, of course. As I touched on before, you'll get to sort of work with the different teams. So, for example, my team sits right next to our geotech team, and I work with them on a semi-regular basis. So I kind of get to understand the types of things they do. And if I was starting to get interested in the geotechnical sort of area and wanted to transition into that, there are definitely opportunities for that. Of course, it is quite dependent on the resources of a team and what other teams have or need, but there is definitely opportunities for you to transfer teams within AECOM.
Brilliant, thank you. There's a couple of other questions that have come through specifically for the summer vacation programs for GHD and Worley. If you could just shine some light on those.
Sure, Kerry, do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was typing.
Yeah, I could see you furiously hammering away. So yes, absolutely. Summer internship positions will be running again this year, as they have every year. We won't be opening applications for that up until mid-year. We usually try and get through our grad recruitment drive first. It then means that we can put a little bit more time and attention into the applications for our summer internship program. So obviously keep an eye out on LinkedIn and the GHD careers page. You should find they go up around June.
Thanks for stepping in there, Steve. So Worley will open our applications for end of year summer vacation program in July. So our program runs from November through to February 2022 next year. And then, yeah, so July, check out our early careers site, and we'll advertise via Seek and LinkedIn as well.
Brilliant, thank you. So I'm just rigorously going through these Q&As to see which ones I can put out to the team.
There's a really good one on video interviews, which generally is quite topical, Elliot, if you want to maybe look at that one.
Which one was that? Sorry, Stephen.
I think Sinead had asked, would you recommend using the entire 2.5 minutes usually given to answer a video interview question, or is it better to be more succinct? It's pretty, for me, it's pretty straightforward. It is a balance, which instantly you go, oh, that's not the answer that I want. I think the best way of doing it is if you can answer it really strongly and impactfully within a shorter amount of time, do shorter. If it's a response that you need to take them on a story or take them on a journey to get to your final answer, it's okay to use as much of that 2.5 minutes as is possible. What you want to stop yourself from doing, though, is waffling. I think if you can catch yourself either treading old ground or trying to fill the space because you feel that you have to, I think that's where you just need to kind of nip it in the bud and close out your responses as best as you can. I think if you sit there and you're trying to pad it for 2.5 minutes, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Brilliant. And we've got one final question that's come through for Alex. How does AECOM, I guess, use, and this is for people who have actually applied to the program, so how do people usually integrate the grads into the business?
So AECOM's grad program is 2 years as a formal program, and throughout those 2 years in our growing professional skills program, which is what it's called, you'll go through quite a lot of training, not so much on the technical side of things, because you'll learn the technical aspects within your teams and on the projects you work on, but you'll more be learning those soft skills like how to communicate, how to do all those other things that go hand in hand with that technical knowledge. And in terms of how you're integrated kind of directly in with the business, you have all these networking events that you go to where you can meet other people. You're allocated a buddy that can help you just sort of learn your way around. It's a big place. It's a lot to get used to, but there are people all around the business that are happy to help you do that and make that transition as easy as they can for you, because it is, having only done it a year and a half ago myself, it is quite a hard thing to do, but I think AECOM made it quite good.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That is all we've got for the time today. Look, for all the students who've come on, there's currently 232 of you watching us at the moment, which is an absolutely huge result. So look, really thank you very much for taking this half an hour to understand a little bit more about obviously the panelists that are on today, both personally and professionally, and obviously the companies that they work for.